As a corporate drone, the person I envied most was the CEO's little brother, whose desk was next to mine. I was grinding away on a 60-hour week for a base salary of 50 grand. He didn't have to lift a finger for his trust fund payout of over $500,000 a year. He never had to suck up to idiot clients. And even if he threw a glass of red wine in an investor's face, his CEO sister would just make me take the fall for it. But then one day, the Sterling family discovered that Liam Sterling shared no biological connection with them. I was her son. My friend warned me not to go back. A family that coddles a favorite child like that will only see you as an intruder. They'll never love you. Besides, his sister is completely obsessed with him. I just waved him off. We're all adults here. When you get a golden ticket to a dynasty like that, who's fighting for a little love? If the Sterlings were willing to accept me, I'd play nice. But if they dared to give Liam a single one of my shares, I was ready to burn the whole thing down. The Sterlings held a press conference for me. Liam, the golden boy who used to sip lattes while dumping his work on my desk, was now sitting in the center seat, his eyes red and puffy. I found it strange that as the long-lost son being welcomed back, I was relegated to a side chair. Just as I was about to make a statement, Liam shot up from his seat, eyes brimming with tears, and ran out of the room. The second he was gone, my former boss and now sister, Victoria Sterling, along with Mr. and Mrs. Sterling, all followed him. The entire ballroom was left with just me staring out at 1,000 reporters. My toes were curling in my shoes from sheer awkwardness. I was wondering if I should crack a joke to lighten the mood when the family's voices suddenly boomed from the speakers. It's okay, we're just acknowledging him publicly. You're still the only son of the Sterling family. That was my father's voice. Victoria's followed exactly. Liam, at the end of the day, he's just one of my employees. If he knows his place, I'll do him the favor of calling him my brother. But if he tries to take anything that's yours, I'll kick him out of the company so fast his head will spin. A murmur went through the crowd below. Oh God, they forgot to turn off their mics. I pressed my fingers to my forehead. I had served that witch Victoria Sterling for years. A woman so obsessed with PR would never make such a rookie mistake. It was obviously intentional, a power play to let everyone know exactly where I stood in the hierarchy. The envious looks from the crowd instantly soured into contempt. Then my mother's voice came through. Don't you worry, sweetie. We just won't let him move into the estate. You'll still be the only young master there. The weight of 1,000 scrutinizing stares fell on me. Anyone else would have slunk out of that room in shame. But I felt glued to my chair, and I waited for the full 15 minutes until they returned. When they saw me still sitting there, brazenly waiting, their faces hardened. They clearly hadn't expected me to have this much audacity. What joke? Only a fool would throw away a golden ticket over a few nasty words. Ahem. Well, Cole, my mother began. Your sudden return, we haven't had time to prepare a room. Why don't you stay in your apartment for now? I'll give you a living allowance. You can find a nicer place. A 10,000 square foot estate in Connecticut, and they needed to prepare a room? It was just a flimsy excuse to keep me out. Liam, hiding behind my mother, shot me a smirk. I just nodded. Fine. Victoria, my former boss, gave me a look that screamed, good, you know your place. But since I'm back, I said, my tone shifting, a living allowance can't be all there is, right? I heard you prepared a stock portfolio for my brother. Where's mine? They stared at me, utterly dumbfounded. Victoria, clearly still stuck in boss mode, snapped at me with the same condescending tone she used at the office. What are you talking about? You think you're entitled to that? I nodded and stood up. All right then. It's clearly not serious about welcoming me back, so I guess I won't be. I actually started walking away. My mother rushed to block my path. The Sterlings were a prominent family. News of the Switchadat birth scandal was already spreading. If it got out that their real son refused to acknowledge them, it would be a PR nightmare. We need to discuss the shares. We'll give it to you later. No. Now. Did she really think I'd fall for such an obvious stalling tactic? Victoria's brow furrowed. Don't be ridiculous. Look at this, I said, addressing the room. I'm their biological son. Their real brother. Not only am I not welcome in their home, but they won't even give me a dime of compensation. So what's the point of this whole charade of a press conference? Let me guess. All these reporters are on your payroll too, right? I'm out. Brother, Liam called out, his eyes red. He bit his lip, his voice trembling. You've misunderstood. I was just worried you wouldn't be comfortable in a new environment. so I thought you should stay in your apartment for a little while. I laughed. Liam, only the rich have trouble adjusting to a poor man's apartment. Well, have you ever heard of a poor man not being able to adjust to a mansion? Liam's eyes grew redder. I'm sorry. I'll have them prepare a room for you at home. Victoria stepped in front of him. If you don't know how to talk, then just shut your mouth. What's it to you? Victoria froze. As her corporate workhorse, I'd always maintained a smiling, agreeable facade, no matter what I was thinking. Ms. Sterling, I said coolly, you're my sister now. Is it really appropriate to speak to me with that tone you use on your employees? Victoria scowled. I sidestepped her and looked directly at the still sobbing Liam. And you don't have to look so wronged, Liam. After all, I should have been living in that house from the day I was born. The ride in the Rolls-Royce was heavy with a stony silence. My mother periodically dabbed at Liam's tears. I, on the other hand, was sitting in a Rolls for the first time in my life, ignoring everyone's glares. I was like a kid in a candy store, touching the plush leather and admiring the details. As I was marveling at the Starlight headliner, my mother finally spoke. The Vance family's daughter will be stopping by later. It will be good for you to meet her. I caught the hesitation in her voice. What's the connection between the Vances and our family? Victoria answered impatiently. A marriage contract. My eyes instinctively flicked to Liam. Then she should probably be meeting Liam. Liam bit his lip, his fist clenched tightly in his lap. Victoria let out a cold laugh. Of course. They've known each other for 26 years. You can't compare to that. Cole, my mother said, trying to smooth things over. We respect your feelings. Although the agreement states that you are engaged to the Vance girl, she and Liam grew up together. If you don't like her, we won't force you. I picked at a loose thread on the seat. If I couldn't read between the lines of my own mother's subtle hints, then all my years in the corporate jungle were for nothing. Soon enough, I met Isabelle Vance, tall with legs for days, standing at least 5'7". She was exactly my type. But Liam beat me to the door, flinging it open. Isabelle. He pulled her into a hug, not saying a word, his eyes just brimming with tears. Isabelle looked flustered for a moment before her eyes found me over his shoulder. Her expression hardened. Liam seemed to remember himself, reluctantly letting her go and gently pushing her toward me. I'm sorry, brother. I didn't mean anything by that. I'm not trying to take Isabelle from you. Isabelle shot Liam a surprised look. Liam bit his lip. Go on. The contract was always between you and my brother. I'm just a fake. Watching her childhood love in such anguish, Isabelle's eyes filled with pity. She gave me a look as cold as ice. I'm not interested in him. No, Isabelle, Liam said, shaking his head. You and he are the ones with the real contract. I raised my hand. Excuse me, I don't care. I love you and only you, Isabelle said, completely ignoring me. I cleared my throat. Right. But what I wanted to say was, it's fine. Isabelle, my brother is back now. Liam sighed, his voice quivering. Hello? So what if he's back? He's just some lowlife from the gutter. You think he could just take what's yours? But are you two done? I finally snapped. Liam quickly moved to stand in front of Isabelle. Brother, I won't fight you for her. Don't misunderstand. I know my place. So you're really giving her to me? I stared at him. Liam froze for a second, then sniffled. Of course. Good. Liam's eyes widened. Isabelle refused. I wouldn't be caught dead with you. Do you think you have a choice? I lifted my chin. I heard this marriage contract we have came with some kind of signed agreement, right? If you marry him instead, you'll have to pay the penalty clause. The contract was signed half in jest by the two families decades ago, but the penalty for breaking it was astronomical. It might have been a joke then, but if I decided to get serious, it was legally binding. Isabelle gritted her teeth. See, if you don't want to pay up, you'll marry me. Isabelle's fists were clenched so tight her knuckles were white. I shot Liam a smug look. Thanks for the generous offer, brother. Brother, Liam suddenly cried out and dropped to his knees with a thud. If you had told me a day ago that the golden boy from the desk next to mine would be on his knees bowing his head to me, I would have said you were insane. But there, Liam's forehead was hitting the ground with a dull thud, turning red from the impact. I'm begging you. Let us be together. I know you and Isabelle have the marriage contract, but you're the real son of the Sterling family. You can have anything you want in the future, but all I have is Isabelle. Isabelle immediately wrapped her arms around him, glaring at me. Don't you dare go too far. Victoria shoved me hard. You're bullying him again. My parents rushed over to Liam, cradling him and whispering reassurances. My mother looked at me. Cole, don't make things difficult for your brother. I'm not the one making things difficult, I said, walking slowly toward Liam. He's the one who said he was giving her to me, and I asked you to confirm it, didn't I? Since you were so sure you wanted to give her away, why are you acting like I just stole her from you now that I've actually taken you up on the offer? I crouched down in front of him. If you don't want to give something up, don't offer it. Otherwise, I might actually take it. Liam flinched like a startled animal and shrank back into our parents' arms. I stood up with a cold laugh and glanced at Isabelle, who was still staring daggers at me. Don't worry, I was just messing with you. You're not my type. Isabelle's breath hitched. She bit her lip, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. It was strange. When I said I wanted her, she was disgusted by me, but now that I told her I wasn't interested, she looked offended. The next morning, I woke up to find a Rolex sitting on my bedside table. Seeing my parents' smiling faces, I knew exactly what was happening. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Sure enough, my mother began. Cole, we've thought about the shares and of course we're going to give them to you. However, the transfer of the shares we had designated for Liam has already gone through. If you just wait until the company grows a bit more, we promise you won't be shortchanged. My father chimed in. That's right. You're our biological son. Don't you worry. So that was their game. Yesterday, the shares hadn't been transferred. I go to sleep for one night, and suddenly they're in Liam's name. This hardly seemed like a family planning to leave me my rightful inheritance. But still, I picked up the Rolex, which wasn't exactly brand new, and let my eyes well up. Okay, I guess you're my parents after all. Seeing this, my mother's eyes softened with a hint of pity. I continued, wiping at my fake tears. I know I wasn't raised by you. Even though I'm your real son, I'll never be treated the same way as Liam. I get it. I won't ask for a single share. You don't have to worry. How can you say that, dear? My mother pulled me into a hug. You are our son. Nothing will ever change that. My father nodded. We're so glad you're being so understanding. But you mustn't talk like that. I sniffled. Do you really love me? Of course. What parents don't love their own child? Then send me to the overseas division. I don't want any shares. Just let me run the European office. They both froze as I made the request. I felt a knot of tension in my stomach. I was afraid they'd see through my ambition. Initially, I did just want my inheritance, but after a few days back, it was clear the Sterling family's backward thinking would make it difficult for the company to stay dominant for another decade, let alone another generation. The domestic market was Victoria's kingdom. There was no way for me to get a foothold, and my parents would never hand me the reins. The only potential opening was the overseas market. I wasn't interested in the Sterling family shares anymore. I wanted real power in my hands. Perhaps my acting was convincing, or perhaps they genuinely felt a sliver of parental guilt, but they agreed. They even added a good boy, work hard. If you can turn the overseas market around, any extra profit you generate is all yours. My eyes lit up. Really? Really? Then let's put it in writing. I had a contract drawn up at lightning speed. They hesitated for a moment, but signed it. They thought I was just some low-level paper pusher. They had no idea that the only reason I hadn't climbed the corporate ladder was because Victoria's loyal cronies guarded every path to promotion. All I needed was an opening, even a crack. I would tear it open with everything I had and fight my way out. But at dinner that night, when Liam heard I was leaving, his eyes immediately turned red. He stood up, ready to storm off, but the family quickly pulled him back. He looked at me with a wounded expression. Brother, are you leaving for the overseas post because you don't want to live in the same house as me? If you don't want to see me, I can move out. I can live in your old apartment. Absolutely not. Victoria scowled. That hovel is no place for you. If anyone's going to live there, it should be him. I clenched my chopsticks. That witch of a boss still knew exactly how to get under my skin. But if I don't leave, brother, will. Liam's voice cracked. I'm just a fake son. You've all mistakenly loved me for so many years. How can I take his place? My parents dropped their utensils, their hearts aching, and pulled him into their arms. Cole, don't upset your brother. Just forget it. That's right. We'll find you a cushy, do-nothing job here in the States. We're canceling your ticket. A joke? Do they think I'd gone through all this trouble with these insane people just for a cushy, do-nothing job? Then I'm leaving. I put down my chopsticks and walked out. My parents grabbed me. Why are you being so difficult? Your brother is so upset, and you're still throwing a tantrum. Do I even have the right to throw a tantrum in this house? They were stunned. You won't give me shares. You won't even let me try to salvage a failing overseas market. What standing do I possibly have in your hearts that would justify me throwing a tantrum? You're not being sincere, so I won't stick around and be a burden. I yanked my arm free and strode away. The butler quickly intercepted me and brought me back. I don't know what my parents said to Liam that night, but he finally stopped making a fuss. Later, on my way to the bathroom, I overheard my parents talking. If he wants to go, let him go. The overseas market has been losing money for a year straight. What can a low-level employee do? In the end, we'll just have to bail him out. He'll know he isn't in over his head, and maybe he won't be so hard on our Liam anymore. I let out a silent, cold laugh and walked away without a sound. The next day, my parents and Victoria, who were supposed to drive me to the airport, never showed. Instead, I got a phone call. Liam's puppy is sick. We have to take him to the vet. You're more independent, so we won't see you off. Be safe on your trip. Click. Standing at the airport terminal, I couldn't help but laugh. Good thing I'd already arranged my own car and hadn't actually waited for them. Once I was gone, they would have no control over me. They were about to find out whether I was just a low-level employee or someone more qualified to run the show than Victoria herself. The overseas market, which had been hemorrhaging money for a year straight, became profitable in my third month at the helm, and not just a little profitable, it became a global sensation. Sales figures were starting to rival the domestic market. My parents, who hadn't contacted me in 3 months, were stunned. They called me for the first time, their voices filled with delighted surprise. Each time, I'd brush them off with a quick, "I'm busy," and hang up. Finally, they got annoyed. "It's been 3 months. Don't you miss your family? We've all been thinking about you." I laughed. Your version of thinking about me is not sending a single text in 3 months? You couldn't afford a plane ticket. Fine, but you couldn't afford a data plan either? You ungrateful. Look, Mom, Dad, I have a client meeting. Take care of yourselves. I hung up. They wouldn't call me out of the blue unless they wanted something. I wasn't about to give them an opening to get chummy, but I never expected them to go this far. They transferred Liam over directly, parachuting him in as the new president of the division, effectively demoting me. A formal transfer order arrived, demanding my return to the U.S. and ordering me to hand the entire European operation over to Liam. Now I knew why they had suddenly called. I just hadn't realized how shameless they could be. When I refused to play along, they just sent him anyway. I tore up the transfer order and proceeded as if Liam didn't exist, continuing to lead my team. Seriously, do they think a new boss dropped in from on high could command loyalty when I was the one who actually ran the place? My parents called, furious. Are you defying our orders now? You're making Liam cry. Fax them a copy of our original agreement. You said it yourselves. Any new market share I created overseas would be mine. I haven't even sued you for breach of contract yet, and you have the nerve to call me. That shut them up. I thought they would have the sense to back off, but the next morning my assistant rushed into my office. Mr. Matthews, this is bad. They're saying you stole Mr. Sterling's achievements. They're accusing you of workplace bullying. I opened Twitter. The #1 trending topic had a big red breaking next to it. Business prodigy Cole Matthews steals Liam Sterling's work. Is the real heir finally making his move against the imposter? The fake heir raised by a dynasty is the real deal. My blood boiled. 3 months of my blood, sweat, and tears were being credited entirely to Liam. The internet was flooded with praise for him. Even though he's not the biological son, Liam Sterling was raised with a world-class education by a powerful family. You expect me to believe some nobody who just got rich, this Cole Matthews, pulled this off? Get real. At El Mayo. This Matthews guy really thinks he can compete with a blue blood heir? Seriously? How does he have the nerve to claim he built this massive overseas market? Even seasoned titans of industry can't produce results like this. I didn't need to guess who was fanning the flames. Too many people still had a fairy tale view of these old money families, especially one like the Sterlings, who were more style than substance. That night, I sent dozens of gigs of audio files to a contact in the American media. Everything from the moment I was brought home to my parents telling me to wait for my shares to them mocking the idea that I could ever succeed overseas. Every last detail. They were, "How could you secretly record us? We had no idea you were so manipulative and calculating. I laughed. If I wasn't calculating, how could I ever hope to get a piece of what's mine from a bunch of old sharks like you? You want to play the media game and say Liam is the genius behind all this? Fine, let's show the world what this crybaby who you coddle at every turn is really like and see if the public still sides with him. My mother sighed. Cole, we're family. How could you be so cruel? He's your brother. My last name is Matthews, his is Sterling. How is he my brother? They were speechless. It seemed like until that very moment, they hadn't even realized they never bothered to change my name back. If you don't want to call him back, fine by me. Plenty of other companies would kill to have me. Since you clearly don't want me, I'll just hand this company over to Liam. No, my father gritted out. They might look down on me, but my results spoke for themselves. Letting me go to a competitor would be disastrous for them. Fine, we'll bring Liam home. Are you satisfied now? Transfer the overseas company to my name. Spin it off from Sterling Industries. It will be my company, Matthews International. Don't you go too far, my father roared. Don't forget you are a Sterling. Good. Then let's release the videos of you coddling Liam. Let's see who thinks I'm a Sterling then. You. I smiled. If you agree, I'll be a valuable business partner. If you don't, I'll take my entire team and leave you this mess for your precious son to handle. That night, my mother cried for a long time. It didn't move me in the slightest. They had no choice. They spun off the company and signed it over to me. Before Liam returned to the States, my parents gave me a rare phone call. They said they missed me. My mother sighed endlessly. You're my biological child, yet we've ended up like this. It's my fault. The holidays are coming up. Come home. Let's have a family dinner. I didn't refuse. After all, I was planning to return to the US to expand my business anyway. The overseas market was just my entry point. It wasn't the extent of my ambition. Since the Sterlings wouldn't give me what was mine, I'd take it myself, and I'd be taking a lot more than just my share of the inheritance. While my plane landed, the Sterling family car was indeed there to pick me up. But when the door opened, I saw Isabelle Vance sitting inside. There's only one spot left. We can't take you, Isabelle said, glancing at me. My mother looked at me, then whispered, Victoria, we should take him. No. Victoria, who was driving for once, replied flatly. He's so tough, right? Let him walk home. I've already told every car service in the area not to pick him up. The estate was a good 10 miles away, and I had a ton of luggage. This was clearly designed to make me beg. Sure enough, they watched my face, waiting for me to crack. When I remained silent, Victoria slammed the door shut and drove off with Liam, leaving me standing on the curb with 2 large suitcases, lost in thought. Seriously, did they think that by defying them overseas, I was somehow trying to accumulate leverage for their love? The thought gave me goosebumps. I pulled out my phone and called the Sterling family's biggest rival. Serena, it's Cole Matthews. I'm back in the States. Let's meet to discuss that project. But first, I'm kind of stranded at JFK. Any chance you could give me a lift? By evening, I still hadn't shown up and the Sterlings were getting suspicious. A quick check and my father was on the phone, yelling at me. While I was sitting in Serena Croft's office, who gave you permission to contact her? You know the history between our families. I was reviewing a contract across from Serena. I mouthed an apology to her, and I stepped out to take the call. Mr. Sterling, let's be clear. The overseas division is now Matthews International. You have no authority to interfere in my business partnerships. I am your partner, not your dog. You left me with no way home. Did you expect me to walk? Richard Sterling was panicking. He didn't have time to argue and immediately drove to the Croft building to drag me back. The meeting was cut short, but Serena remained gracious. Well, Mr. Matthews, we can continue this another time. Richard Sterling gritted his teeth. After that, he started visiting me every day, bringing gifts or making pointless small talk. My mother did the same. I knew they were terrified I'd team up with Serena Croft. Inevitably, this meant they were neglecting Liam. It was only a small shift compared to their previous obsession, but most of their time was still devoted to him. Liam, however, couldn't handle it. One day, he knelt before me at the top of the stairs, clutching a share transfer agreement. Brother, I'll sign over all of my shares to you. I'm begging you, just give me back my mom, dad, and sister. I had just woken up, rubbing my messy hair, completely baffled by his latest theatrical performance. A while ago, I might have taken the offer, but now I held leverage more powerful than the entire Sterling legacy. A few shares were no longer a necessity. You can keep them. I don't want them. As I tried to walk past, he grabbed my leg. Brother, please. Everything you've done, it's because you resent me for stealing their love, right? But I've been with them for over 20 years. I can't lose them. I'll give you all my shares. Just please give them back to me, okay? I was baffled. Liam, how did you even make it to 26? He stared at me, confused. I leaned down. I've come this far, and you still think my goal is your family's affection? You might be a child, but I'm not. I snatched the agreement from his hand. I repeat myself. If you're not serious about giving something away, don't offer it. Because if you say it, I'll actually take it. I tore the papers to shreds. Brother, don't go, he cried, clinging to my leg. Besides the shares, I can give you my room, my designer clothes, anything. Just don't let go. I already had a short fuse in the morning, and his clinging was getting on my last nerve. I yanked my leg free. The next second, the door flew open and the voices of Victoria and my parents rang out. Cole, what are you doing? From their angle, it looked like I was about to kick him. Ah, Liam cried, collapsing theatrically to the floor. Oh, so that was the play? And here I thought he was actually going to give me the shares. My mother rushed to cradle him. Victoria gathered the shredded paper, then threw the pieces in my face. Who the hell do you think you are, forcing Liam to sign over his shares and making a meal of you? Have we been too easy on you? Which one of your eyes saw me force him? You think I'm as insane as you are, that I'd choose to bully him in the one place where you could walk in at any second? A twisted person like you, who knows what you're thinking. As Victoria and I got closer, Liam scrambled between us, pretending to break up a fight. The scene made Isabelle Vance, who had just walked in to see Liam, freeze in her tracks. What are you all doing? We all turned to look at her. Isabelle's first instinct was to look at Liam. His eyes were red, and he bit his lip, shaking his head at her, as if he were suffering some unspeakable injustice. Then she saw the scraps of the share transfer agreement on the floor. Slap. Her hand cracked across my face. Wasn't stealing his overseas market enough for you? Now you have to force him to give up his own shares too. I touched my stinging cheek, then took a step forward. Slap. I hit her back, just as hard. Are you out of your mind? Isabelle stared at me, her hand covering her cheek in shock. She never imagined I would dare to hit her. Listen to me, Isabelle. I built that overseas market with my own 2 hands. The contract proves it's mine. For you to have an opinion on it. As for Liam's pathetic little stock portfolio, I could wipe him out of the market and take it all. I don't need him to transfer anything to me. What a joke. What did you just say? Victoria scowled. I turned on her. Shut up. You think you're still my boss? I pointed at all of them. I'm your business partner now, not your long-suffering son. Hold this again and don't be surprised when I side with the Crofts. You bastard. My father clutched his chest, one hand trembling as he pointed at me. How can you say something like that? Do you even sound like a Sterling? Don't forget that little company of yours was a gift from us. How do you think you achieved so much? Because you're a Sterling. Clients gave you a chance because of our name. In the end, it was all because of the Sterling family's influence. Don't be so ungrateful. I frowned. It was a common narrative in our social circle. A poor kid from the gutter suddenly becomes a business titan. They couldn't find any real faults, so they attributed all my success to the Sterling name backing me. If I didn't shut that down now, they would hold it over my head forever. All right, you want to make a bet? Let's bet on who can take complete control of the domestic market within the next year. They were stunned. Victoria actually laughed. You want to compete with me for the domestic market? Are you insane? Are you scared? I asked flatly. What are the stakes? I stared them down. The other's company. If I lose, I walk away from the overseas market and Liam gets the whole thing. And if I win, Victoria's eyes narrowed. I get your company, and you will live stream a public apology to Liam on your knees. I gritted my teeth. Done. As soon as the agreement was signed, I walked out. I couldn't wait to see their faces when I won this war. Let's see if they still thought my success was because of them. Victoria quickly realized she was in trouble. When I was her subordinate, I had to play the game, bowing and scraping because the industry was ruthless and working for a titan was the only way up. But now I was at the top, with opportunities everywhere. My talent had no limits. Victoria, on the other hand, was a regent, not a ruler. She was coasting on the legacy her ancestors had built. She was about to get a harsh lesson in her own capabilities. We were different. The Sterlings were a centuries-old dynasty. Thanks to their ancestral wealth, The current generation could thrive as long as they didn't screw up. But I couldn't afford to play it safe. Victoria could maintain the status quo because she was already at the summit. If I maintained the status quo, I'd be under the Sterling family's thumb forever. A founder is always more aggressive than a successor. It didn't take long for Sterling Industries to start crumbling under my assault, and that's when someone unexpected reached out to me. It was Isabelle Vance. I never would have guessed that slapping Isabelle would be the thing that turned her on. She had always thought of me as some timid, pathetic loser from the sticks. That slap apparently woke her up. She started paying attention to me, and in doing so, she saw something in me that Liam would never have. That's what she told me anyway. I only believed the part about the slap waking her up. Still, she was my type, so I let her stick around. She became my devoted little groupie, driving me to and from work, giving me massages at home, even cooking me gourmet nutritional meals. This went on until 2 weeks before the deadline of our bet. With the Sterling family's defeat all but certain, she presented me with a collection of candid, intimate photos from our year together, 365 of them, one for every day. So this was her endgame. You can sue me, but my family will make it disappear, and even if you win, our photos will be all over the internet. Everyone will know how you forced yourself on a poor, innocent woman. In the end, who do you think will be hurt the most? Isabelle smirked at me, all traces of her former devotion gone. I sat on the sofa, frowning as I flipped through the sordid, secretly taken pictures. Cole, she said, placing her hands on either side of me, her gaze intense. Give up. Give the overseas company to Liam. I can promise you won't be harmed. I slowly looked up, meeting her triumphant eyes. I casually tossed the photos on her face and smirked. Damn, I'll look good. Her eyes widened. You really think I'm afraid of this? I stood up, pushing her back onto the sofa and leaning over her. The day I let you into my life, I knew this was a possibility. You think those large wire transfers I sent you will look like I was deceiving a sweet young girl, or more like a gold digger trying to blackmail her sugar daddy? My fingers traced a line from her cheek down to her collarbone, making her flinch. Next time, try to find a better angle. I have standards for my private photos. You, Isabelle seethed. Have you no shame? Slap. Another one right across her face. You're just someone I played with. Who gave you the right to bark at me? You. I stood up straight. Security, get her out of here. Isabelle was furious. You really think I won't release them? I'm not kidding. I rubbed my temples. Throw her out. Isabelle really did release the photos, complete with a tearful story about how I had used her and broken her heart. When the media swarmed me, I just smirked. AI technology is pretty incredible these days. My competitors are really pulling out all the stops to take down the poor kid who climbed his way to the top. My response immediately sicked my supporters on Isabelle. Even some neutral parties sided with me. The supposed victim Isabelle tried everything to prove the photos were real, but all she got from netizens was, so what if they are? You're still the one in the wrong. Isabelle's plan to threaten me backfired spectacularly, and she ended up dragging the Sterling family down with her. After all, her motive was clearly to help Liam. To make matters worse, a hacker broke into their devices and discovered that Liam had known about her plan all along and had even tacitly approved it. The internet erupted in ridicule. Looks like the proud Miss Vance got played by Cole for a whole year for nothing. Does she really think Liam loves her? What kind of man uses his girlfriend's body as bait? Humiliated, she deleted her social media accounts and disappeared from public life. But did they really think I would let her off that easily? I released every single audio recording I had secretly made since being welcomed back by the Sterlings. Every injustice, every slight was laid bare for the world to see. The already fragile Sterling Industries stock price plummeted, hitting limit down. With their defeat in the bet imminent, they asked me to come home to talk. I expected a heartfelt, soul-bearing conversation. Instead, I walked in to find my parents holding Liam, wiping away his tears. The moment Victoria saw me, she grabbed my collar. Are you happy now? Are you going to keep hounding Liam until you drive him to his grave? Why won't you leave him alone online? I finally snapped. Slap. The sound echoed through the room as my hand connected with her face. Are you all idiots? I stared coldly at a stunned Victoria. Let's get this straight. It was Liam and his fiancée who set a trap for me. What's happening now is simply the consequence of their own actions. Are you blind? You can't see the evidence of them trying to ruin me, but you can only see me fighting back online. Based on what they tried to do, the fact that I haven't come after them in person is a kindness. How dare you play the victim? No one said a word. My father finally gritted his teeth. If you hadn't tried to take what was Liam's, you wouldn't have pushed such a kind boy to do something so terrible. I had to laugh. When Liam does something awful, he was pushed to it. Why? Use a little strategy. I'm labeled cruel and manipulative. Where was the logic in that? Take. I laughed out loud. Mr. Sterling, what right have I ever had to take anything in this family? To take something, you need power, leverage. Have you ever given me any of that in this house? I don't even have the right to a normal relationship with my own family. Yet you think I have the power to take things from him? My mother's eyes reddened. My father pursed his lips, silent. Brother, Liam suddenly sobbed. This isn't what I wanted either. I never wanted to be the one who was switched. I'm hurting too. My parents and Victoria immediately looked at him with heartbreaking pity. I cut them off before they could speak. Stop playing the victim. I fail to see how a child from a normal family who gets to live in a mansion for 26 years is a victim. Besides, even if you hadn't been switched, your biological parents who intentionally swapped you would never have abandoned you the way mine abandoned me. No matter how you slice it, you come out ahead. I'm the one who loses in every scenario. If anyone should be crying, it's me. So why are you putting on this pathetic act in front of me? Liam froze. Victoria opened her mouth to say something, but found she had no words. Suddenly, my family started trying to love me. They sent me texts every day asking how I was. They even added me to the family group chat. That's right, in all this time, I was never in the Sterling family fun chat. The second I was added, I left. My mother called me, crying. Cole, this is our first time being parents. We've made so many mistakes. I wasn't buying it. You had countless opportunities to make things right. There were ways to handle this without hurting me or Liam, but you always chose to give him everything that should have been mine. Favoritism is favoritism, and whatever you're regretting now, I doubt it's just a crisis of conscience. They weren't sorry. They were just scared because they knew I was about to drive them out of the market. Sure enough, after I completely crushed Victoria and took over her position, they never contacted me again, except, of course, for the time they couldn't afford to pay the rent on their apartment. I wired them the exact amount of money they had spent on me since I came back, down to the last cent. Then I blocked their numbers and deleted their contacts. I heard they ended up moving into that same tiny 300-square-foot apartment I used to live in. Lately, Serena Croft has been asking me to dinner frequently. No business talk, just her. She tried her best to make conversation. Watching her, I knew what she was getting at. Looking at this business partner who is even more striking than Isabelle, I wiped my mouth. Ms. Croft, if we're not discussing the project, I should get going. Wait. She cleared her throat, a faint blush on her cheeks. It's always business with you. Can't we meet without an agenda? Can't we talk about something else? I smiled. We can't,